It's grown man stuff going on.
Yeah, I'm a child. Don't need that.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Boss Rush Podcast. A great place to play games and be better. I am one of your hosts. You know me, the PC Muscle Race, myself, LeRon Dawkins. Welcome back, everybody. All right, so in the house with me tonight, of course, is Boss Rush Boss Man himself, Corey Derrick.
Oh, I'm first.
Yeah, you're first.
Wow.
Yeah.
First
Hey.
and last. That's
Hey, how's it going?
I mean, it's going. Life is happening.
Mhm.
You know, I just spent almost $1,000 to fix my garage door this weekend. That was fun.
Oh snap!
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. It snapped.
The chain snapped? Like
spring.
the pulley system?
The spring.
The spring? Okay.
Yeah.
It was not eligible for a DIY fix.
Wait,
Not for
$1,000? $1,000 for the spring? You know what?
I don't know how it works, man. Look, if I was smart enough, I would be building garages by myself, but I can't do that. They have people for that. You know what I'm good at? This. And that's even questionable.
No comment.
I mean, that's fair.
But you know somebody I do have a comment on? The mad pharmacist, Stephanie Klimov. Hey, what's up?
What comment?
You're awesome. I love you. You sent me a text message over the weekend that just really warmed me up.
Who is all a secret plot to overthrow Corey.
And it was absolutely platonic for Stephanie's boyfriend that's probably watching and or listening to the show right now.
He's like, oh, they're talking video games. Actually, mine came in. I got something cool today, and it's my Chun-Li shirt.
Oh, nice.
I got it from Nerds. They had a booth at PAX. Nobody ever respects Dork Society. They make streetwear, but they partner with Capcom with a lot of stuff.
Heck,
That's where I got my Street Fighter bomber jacket. And there were a couple of outfit designs that I asked them of certain characters that were not available on the show floor that I ordered online.
I see you too are a person of true culture.
Yes.
That's what we're all about here.
Time.
Culture.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to welcome back to the show one of our special guests here. You know what? Because I was not on the show with you the last time you were here, I hope I'm not about to bastardize your last name here. I want to welcome back Nick Fahkoury to the show.
Very good.
Okay,
Awesome.
all right, awesome. Yeah, like I was out sick of the time you showed up, so my bad. I feel like I did a horrible disservice by not being there for you your first night.
LeRon, you're more than making up for it being here this time around. I'm really excited to be on the show, and thank you again for Corey reaching out to me. I was happy I had tonight free so I could jump on and talk to you all this evening on the Boss Rush podcast. So yeah, Nick Fahkoury, I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, not short
Cool.
at all.
Real quickly, just tell everybody where you're from and what you do and how you do it.
Absolutely. So I am one half of the Friday Night Gamecast. I co-host our variety game podcast with my best friend Will, and we basically cover everything on that show from indies to AAAs, and we do a lot of we really focus on game reviews right now. When we started off, we were doing a lot of topical-based podcasts where we were talking about general industry things, focusing on news, that sort of thing, and we're looking to actually get a little bit more into that this next season, but having a nice healthy balance between those and game reviews, so we're not like under pressure for deadlines and trying to churn games out there. So but yeah, we have a lot of really cool fun stuff cooking for season 4. We just released our PAX East 2025 episode, so if anybody wants to check that out, it's on all podcasting platforms. Just Friday Night Gamecast.
All right, awesome. So how's everybody doing tonight? We having fun?
LeRon, I'm great.
Great time.
I'm always
Cool.
having a good time.
Okay. Stephanie, you're kind of quiet.
No, didn't want to admit that.
I just wanted to put you.
in.
I just wanted to put you on the awkward spot. That's all.
No, we had Memorial Day weekend. It was very busy. Had family over, and now all the work did not just go away. It's just now I have to get a 5-day work week done in a 4-day work week. So,
Isn't
Ooh,
isn't that the
I hate
worst
to see
part of
it.
having a third day off in the weekend? Is that there's
Yeah.
now it's like, oh, now I got to do all this in one day instead of two.
Yeah, that's kind of what I get for not taking yesterday serious. I should have at least preempted some of the work that I knew was going to be waiting for me today, but nah, it was it. Why do I do this to myself?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's those the email inboxes are just they're never fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
4-day
yeah.
work week when you come in on that Tuesday, it's tough.
they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but overall, I'm just staying positive. The weather's getting better, and I know we'll cover it later, but I mean, we are pretty much around the corner of a console launch. So,
Mm-hmm.
True. That is true. It comes out. It actually will be out today by the time this episode releases for everybody.
yay!
It's exciting. It's exciting. Now, did we all here? I certainly did not, but did the three of you secure a Nintendo Switch 2 pre-order?
I did. Yes.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I have one that basically somebody was like I ordered more than I needed and so yeah, they were nice enough to put me in their list for like you can have one if you want it.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
really cool.
my story was I was on a cruise ship and I had to get up. I set my alarm for midnight and I was on cruise ship Wi-Fi. Yes, as you can imagine, it's not the best
Yeah,
Wi-Fi.
it's insane. Yeah.
And I was like toggling between like Best Buy, Target, and then Walmart and like seeing everything spin. And after an hour, I finally got one on Walmart. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to bed now.
Yeah. So speaking of, like, I just want to go ahead and congratulate everyone that was able to get one. On the first round. I don't know how the Nintendo lottery went because Nintendo had a separate lottery, I think.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was invited on like the 9th to get it. Here's the thing though about that is like I got in there and I was like easily able to get one in my cart, no problem. But I had already pre-ordered one, so I was like, oh, they have the GameCube controllers in stock. Let me hop in there and buy one. And
Ooh.
if you were invited early and went in before like the open pre-orders went in, if you wanted to buy a GameCube controller, you had to buy it with a Switch 2 or they wouldn't let you buy it.
Oh wow.
That's
And
weird.
like Stephanie, you texted me, you were like,
Yeah.
I caved and you got one. I'm like, how did you get one? Like Nintendo told me I had to pre-order a Switch 2 with mine. And so I went back
That's
in.
garbage.
I went back in and it was already in my cart and there was like a huge queue line. But I went on my phone and remembered I had it in my cart. So I just had that tab open and I just checked out.
Oh, nice. There you go.
But yeah, I was like, oh, are you serious? Like, man.
Yeah. I'm usually the person that's like I love getting the latest and greatest tech bullshit, whatever is coming out. I got myself the PS5 Pro, the limited edition, all of that, and
You got your hands on
You
that?
got a limited
Yeah.
edition one? Oh
I got
man.
the I got the limited edition DualSense Edge controller too. It's really nice. It's
Oh,
like
man.
one of my favorites ever. Yeah, the
I
gray.
want to see a picture of it so I can
Yeah.
just drool over it. Oh.
Yeah, so it definitely was a happy pull, but like this time around, for whatever reason, I mean, I really want the Switch 2, but I just like I don't know, man. It's just something about it. I was just like, I can wait because I didn't want to fight scalpers, and I'm certainly not paying scalper price until the stock refills. I feel, and it's funny because whenever I got my first Switch, I just walked into the GameStop like the day, maybe like it was like a month after launch or something like that back in 2017, and I got my Switch just randomly. And I don't think it was even an issue then. This didn't start becoming an issue until 2020 and the COVID shortage and scalpers started figuring out ways they could manipulate the system, but. Yeah, it was this time around. I was like, I'm okay. I saved my money for whatever else that's coming up right now. I'm not super pressed to get it, even though I would love to play Donkey Kong Bonanza and Mario Kart World. But I'm still in that mentality where I'm happy to wait.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, Mario Kart is like a nice supplement to have to your library. It's not, and again, this is family people that just don't only play Mario Kart and all these games probably think differently, but like it's not the game to go out and buy day one, right? You can totally wait.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
I mean, I got it because obviously I want one, but also like Nintendo Power Block, one of us has to get one. So
Yeah, for sure.
But Donkey Kong looks cool.
That's how you
Kong
would.
does look cool.
Red Faction Guerrilla Warfare. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it looks good. It looks fun. I wonder, man, I'm really interested to see how that destruction works. Like, and if it like every you leave the level and you come back, if it's still there, if it just respawns the level. You know,
That'd be cool. That'd be cool if they had like a toggle where you could just choose to reset the level whenever you want or something.
There's probably some sort of Breath of the Wild style mechanic, right? Where like the red moon resets the world in Breath of the Wild, right? So
probably,
like,
I'd imagine.
probably some. Oh, the banana became unpeeled and reverses time.
Yeah. Speaking of which, though, I am very excited to. I think like when I buy the $10 upgrades for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, which I will do because I am a Zelda shill. I will be the first to admit it. I love Zelda wholeheartedly. I played Echoes of Wisdom. I loved that. Link's Awakening was just incredible. One of my favorites, actually. But I am really, really excited to actually beat Breath of the Wild in that 4K 60 FPS upgrade because I never did. I just beat all of the 4 different great beasts, and then I just was like, all right, go to Ganon's castle, and I was like, okay, all right, I'm just chilling.
You pulled the Skyrim.
Yes, basically, yeah.
If you're an NSO member, you get those upgrades for free.
Really? Okay. That's really cool because in something that I'm curious about whether or not they're going to continue this, Corey, is that this is a hack that I learned from one of my buddies, Kelvin and Rob at the Game Duo podcast. If you go on eBay, there are people that will literally sell you a year-long Nintendo Switch Online membership for like $15, and all they do is they add you to your family plan and they give you the code to like access it and log in, and it's just $15 for a year. And that's what I did. Only problem is that you don't get credit for paying like officially for a Nintendo Switch like online thing. So it's just I'm curious, but I don't know. As long as that service is available and as long as you continue to renew, I'm assuming you'll still have access.
Yeah. I mean, I assume that's how that works. I'm a family of one, so I don't know. I didn't go on anybody's plan. I'm just all by my lonesome.
Wait, are your kids not of Switch playing age yet, Corey?
They are 4 and 6.
Oh, okay.
So they play, but I mean they're 4 and 6, so they're as good as they can be at that age. My son has actually picked it up a lot faster than my daughter has, though, and he's 4, so he loves Mario Wonder. He loves like the Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers side-scrolling beat 'em ups. Like he plays those games, and he's actually pretty decent at them.
Yeah.
So, like it's not like I'm like dragging him along, right? That is actually like beating guys up and not dying, and he does think it's funny when the turtles fall in the sewer, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's great.
Oh. Man, talk about derailing a podcast.
Just talking about the Nintendo Switch too. That's how it happens.
I know, right? What is this? What is this? Nintendo Power Block? What's going on here?
We're not going to talk about it anymore this episode.
Uh-oh.
That was definitely my topic, so we are.
I know. It was mine too.
Well, just to let you know, this is the Bossers Podcast, the flagship podcast for the Bossers Media, and the Bossers Network. We record each and every episode live on Twitch and YouTube, and I'll say it tonight, X. The thing known as Twitter, every Tuesday night. So please come hang out with us. Please be a part of the conversation and join in the live chat. And also give us a follow while you're there at any of those respective platforms. If you'd like to support Boss Rush, you can check out our Patreon. That is patreon.com/Boss Rush Network, where you can gain early and exclusive access to content like the Boss Rush Podcast, Patreon pre-show, as well as Expansion Pass. And you also be able to become a Patreon producer if you like those type of things and much, much more. As always, if you can't support us financially or join us live, your listenership and viewership is more than enough for us. You can go ahead and subscribe to the Boss Rush on YouTube and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our episodes. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, consider leaving us a 5-star rating and a review, or even leave us a comment. We love comments. It will help with our discoverability and also help with our growth. New episodes post every Thursday morning on the podcast apps, YouTube, and of course over on our website, which is bossrush.net. All right, we have a show for you guys tonight. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're gonna have some fun with this stuff. So I just want to go ahead and say, let's get this thing started. I'm gonna hog the spotlight. I want to go first. I want to go first. I want to talk about the fact. Okay, so here's a question. Here's a question that I have for the audience, not so much for us on the panel tonight. Ooh, kitty. All right.
She likes to be the co-host on all of my podcasts.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So here's my question for our audience tonight. Are you a real fan if you're not going to spend $80 for a game? I think we should really.
Real poor.
I think we should talk about. I think we should talk about the pricing debate that has crept up since the announcement of the Switch 2, and keeps going, with Mr. Foot in his mouth all perpetually, Randy Pitchford.
I think. Sorry, go ahead, Corey.
I was saying it's magic.
Yeah. I was. That's the direction I was heading. I was like, should we start talking about USB drives and medieval times, Randy Pitchford? Because why does anybody let this man have any type of journalistic spotlight or actually external media coverage for 2K? Like, who's running the ship over there at the Borderlands studio, and why are they letting him spearhead these campaigns? Like, I understand he's probably been a legacy media figure over there for quite some time, but genuinely, I'm just like, I don't know why this guy is still in the position that he's in, other than the fact that his name is Randy Pitchford and people somehow remember that, even though that's kind of tainted at this point. Sorry, that was a little divergent.
Oh, no. But it's all right. Yeah.
Yeah, I just my thing is that first of all, I don't think that anybody who is responsible on the production or the publication side for any video game has the authority or really at any place of saying whether or not someone is a fan or is not a fan of the property that they're putting out. That's something that strictly fans in the community decide for themselves, and that's really all it is. And I feel like it's just kind of like a shitty, weird thing to say. Excuse me, I'm sorry, Corey. We're too early in the podcast for me to.
We're 20 minutes
curse.
in. We're good.
Oh, okay, we're good. But no, seriously, it's just not a good look to say that about your fans, one way or the other.
Especially when you consider the fact that if it wasn't, I feel like people know Randy Pitchford because of Borderlands, and so the fact that he basically said what he said, basically, I'm not sure if that was a slap. I'm not sure if you can be taken as a slap in the face to Borderlands fans and stuff like that, or I do know this, the guy likes to hear himself talk, and stuff like that. So shoot. Basically, I can't remember the entire answer he gave, but ultimately, he said something, and then he had the perfect opportunity to stop right there, and then he turned around and said, "If you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen." My local game store had Starflight for Sega Genesis for $80 in 1991 when I was just out of high school working minimum wage at an ice cream parlor in Pismo Beach, and I found a way to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, my thing. Sorry, go ahead, Steffi.
I'm hesitant because I don't want to sound like I'm ever defending him. But we all know the handful of people or individuals that really shouldn't have social media accounts or should be speaking on behalf of a company or country or anything like that.
Yeah.
And Randy is one of those folks. But the only thing I will say is that if we just want to get real raw here and just kind of and just take away the fact that it's Randy, technically the stone cold hard truth sometimes can be that, if I am a fan, I'm a fan of Zelda. I feel like it can be both things. I feel like if I really want something, I will find a way to get it. That's just business. At the same time, who is to say, like some guy like Randy to tell me if I'm a fan or not based off of what I could afford? Because there might be a time and place where I might not be in the financial space that I am now. So say, for example, heaven forbid, knock on wood, I lose my job, and I no longer have any job nor means to pay for any hobby. Does that mean I get my Zelda card taken away? Not necessarily. I know I'm talking in circles, but I just kind of want to add that kind of mildly ugly truth. I hate the fact that he said it, and I don't think you're not a fan if you can't buy something, but there's like this tiny, very tiny shred of reality there. Just a little bit though.
I think
Okay.
I really that's the direction where I was going to go with it, Stephanie, is that like the reality of what he's saying on its face is true. Games have been devalued in the marketplace for quite some time, and we have been paying a very comparatively speaking to a lot of other forms of media, we've been paying a very cheap sticker price for video games. The fact that we're seeing most AAA titles, tentpole titles for either franchise, whether it's Xbox, Nintendo, well, maybe not so much as Nintendo, but Xbox and PlayStation, we're talking about $100 million titles, right? And the reality is that $60 was not going to sustain that. $70 probably isn't going to sustain that either. Borderlands being put at $80 and prices increasing to $80, particularly in response to the way that Nintendo has changed their pricing. It makes sense, and it's just an economic reality. I think that this is just a particularly bad time, especially for Americans, for somebody who's doing corporate communications for a major corporation like 2K, for them to say, you're not a real fan of our media product if you can't pay more money, when most Americans who are hardworking as it is are facing the barrel of increased groceries and clothes and gas because of tariffs that are going to be hitting our economy right now. So for you to come and talk about this, item, this the basically the sticker price for this, disposable income purchase that's going to start drying up very quickly, if not, continue to be that, or really just something that's going to be difficult for people to buy because of economic uncertainty, whether or not tariffs do hit them. It's just a bad look. And the thing is that, like, you could have just priced it at $80 and not said anything. And people would have bought it. People might not have bought it. I still think that specifically Borderlands 4 is in a very weird place, because they're like not really a niche market share. Like, they certainly don't have the hype of a Zelda or of a Sony Santa Monica studio or a Naughty Dog studio. Like, they're not in a position where they can be like, people absolutely adore our IP and are going to buy it by the hundreds of millions of units, but they do have brand name recognition. So it's like, you got to balance that with like meeting us with quality. I mean, I know that Borderlands 4 has switched up the formula because they got, Xavier Nelson and a few other writers that are on the team to kind of bring a fresh look at the writing for this game. I think some early reviewers said that it kind of can be hit or miss based on what they've experienced so far. But I think you just kind of have to look at it as a product. And because we're so competitive in 2025 in the world of video games, I just don't see this being successful when this is kind of like the approach that 2K is allowing them to go with.
Yeah. Just to clear a few things up here, like, I did not bring this topic up to talk about $80 games. I did not do that because, I'm also from an era of gaming where, I spent $90 for Chrono Trigger on Super NES and stuff like that.
Can I say something on that point, LeRon?
Yeah, go ahead.
$90 for Chrono Trigger, because I remember paying $90 for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater on N64. Right.
$90? Yeah. Wasn't like the N64 console like $400 back in?
No, it was $199.
$199. Okay, got it. I thought for some reason that one of those consoles early on were crazy expensive.
Wait. Hold on. The Nintendo 64 did not MSRP.
I thought it was more expensive.
It wound up being.
It was either $199 or $249.
Let's see. Nintendo 64 MSRP. Oh, it was $199. Wait. Nintendo initially had planned for it to be $250. I don't remember being that. Actually, wait. Yeah, they did undercut because the PlayStation came out at $300, $299. Yeah, they did undercut.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about this a lot because I used to say that too, right? Like, I used to pay this for this game back in the day. I think the thing that everybody kind of forgot is that discs made game printing extremely cheap.
Yeah.
Instead of purchasing proprietary carts from Nintendo or Sega, right? So like printing the discs became the standard because it was cheap and it held more memory and it held more, it just held more, right? And you could get CD quality sound out of it, and it just provided a lot more than a cartridge could provide, right? And so I to an extent I still say yes, we still paid money like this back in the day. But at the same time, like Nick said, these games cost, I mean, if you looked at the Insomniac leaks, right? We know that Spider-Man 2 cost upwards of $300 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that, like, a $70 price tag on that game is not going to cut it unless you sell, upwards of 15 million units, right? And so, which Spider-Man will do, no problem, because it's Spider-Man, right? But then you have to look at it, especially if you're printing it on a disc, you have to add the shipping, you had to add the shipping costs in, you have to add the disc printing, you had to case printing, and the box store gets a cut. And so, like,
well, that's not something that we have to worry about as much anymore.
No, but I'm just saying, like, people still like to go in and buy discs and have a physical library, right?
Yeah.
Especially if, the collector scene for PlayStation is growing. It seems similar to Nintendo, actually, at this point. It seems, but when you cut all that in, and then you have to pay Disney, right? And the Disney tax is like, the mouse wants his money, right? So, that game, like, I mean, that's why the DLC was canceled, right? Is because it wasn't worth the return on investment because of how much money they had to give away. So, I don't know. I think games need to cost $80. I know that fans don't want to hear that, and I definitely don't want to hear that, right? Because I mean, that's less games for us to buy ultimately, right? Not that I have the time to play all these games, but I think at the end of the day, if you want the layoffs to stop happening and you want the studios to stop closing, you need to support the studios and you need to support them at the price they're asking. And if you're like, you don't have to buy it right away either, right? And normally, if you don't buy it right away, you're going to get some sort of Game of the Year edition or whatever for cheaper,
or just cheaper.
Cheaper. All the patches will be in, so you get a better experience when you play it, right? Like, I mean, LeRon, we talk about Mass Effect Andromeda quite a lot, and like playing it 6-8 months after it launched, I was like, this is fine.
Yeah, you had a better experience of the game than I did, because I was day one. I was day one, and I still have not beaten the game because like the game like basically like burned me, with the launch woes,
Yeah, and I also think the free-to-play market really ruined expectations of game prices too, right? It used to be something we would only worry about on mobile, but Fortnite coming in and, kind of spinning off that free-to-play kind of excitement, right? With, even Halo's multiplayer is free-to-play, Apex Legend, all these games free-to-play. Even Destiny went free-to-play for, to an extent. So that kind of ruined what people expect to pay for games, and I don't know. I think expectations are all over the place, and I get it. $80 is a lot of money, but also some games are worth it because of the quality or the amount of time you put into it. Or
I'll be serious with you. Like $80, in my opinion, is not a lot of money for games in this day and age. It just feels like it is because like we've been used to the status quo of being for a long time being $40 games or $50 games or $60 games. Like. How dare Nintendo charges $10 extra for Tears of the Kingdom 2, Tears of the Kingdom, stuff like that, like it just seemed like there was a creep up there, and I understand, I know the nature of the beast, and like we got like these companies that pay for marketing, they got to pay for the programming, all development and all that stuff, they got to pay for everything. They even got to pay to get it out the door into our hands and stuff like that, I get that, stuff like that. That's why I was saying like this is not really me arguing about the $80 price tag. It was more about the entitlement that comes behind, like someone like basically I'm not sure what part a guy like Pitchford plays, for example, in the development of the game now. I feel like all he is now is just the mouthpiece, and unfortunately, he's a bad mouthpiece for the game and stuff like that. We've all known this since Alien Colonial Marines days. Like this guy is his own worst hype man, stuff like that, And so basically, I'm pretty sure someone threw a microphone in front of him, knowing they were going to get like the best soundbite of 2025. When it came to this and stuff like that. But ultimately, I think that and this is the part where like gamers are probably going to feel attacked by some of the words I say. Like, we have to be responsible for how we rein in our gaming habits and stuff like that. It was Corey. We got off the Boss Rush podcast. I want to say about a month ago, and we were just talking about our gaming habits and how they changed, right?
Yeah.
Oh wow, somebody out there reminded us about something. But we talked about this whole thing about like how we spend money on games and stuff like that, and we don't spend money on games the way we did when we first got out of high school and got our first real job. We don't spend money like that anymore. We pick and choose how we spend our money and like how we're gonna do it and stuff like that. Like I bought a total of 2 games this year, day one, and we're almost into June now. Like, so, and both of those games actually were like either deluxe or collector's editions. I bought the premium edition for Monster Hunter Wilds, and I bought the deluxe edition for Tekken 8. Every other game I bought, you best believe, like I bought on either a discount or I racked them up on Epic Game Store, Game Pass or whatever, stuff like that. Like I don't really spend money on video games the way I used to anymore and stuff like that. And I think that's what we need to take into account. Like there are people out there that are definitely going to bitch and moan. I want to see what Rockstar does at GTA 6. I have a funny feeling I already know what they're going to price it as. I want to see how many people are going to bitch and moan about it, but it's still going to be the best selling game of 2025 when it comes out. I mean 2026 when it comes out. I'm sorry, not 2025. I don't want to mislead somebody and they think the game's coming out this year.
Yeah, I mean, on that note, LeRon, I mean, I bought one game on day one this year, which was Xenoblade Chronicles X, but also my favorite game of the year so far. I'm playing on Game Pass, right? In Expedition 33. So
I've got a copy of Expedition 33 from Game Pass too, and I'm already like, it's time for me to pay for this game.
Yeah,
this game is already worth the money that I should have spent for it.
Yeah, I ended up buying a physical copy just to support. I'm a PC gamer, so there is no physical for us anymore. I know, but I'm mostly all digital. But the games that I truly love, like I will buy a physical just to have on my shelf at this point. Which is like 3 Xbox games because it's just a license on a disc. Then you have to download the game anyway. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's a good example of something like, we talked about studios measuring success, right, LeRon?
Mm-hmm.
Also, I don't know if you guys saw the Expedition 33 tweet today, but they sold, the game's been out for 33 days and they sold 3.3 million copies.
That's in my
you know what? As a matter of fact, we can go ahead and segue into that right now. Because I think we kind of like ran the whole. This is not about us. I would love to attack Randy Pitchford for the rest of the episode tonight, but this is not about us attacking Randy Pitchford. It's also not about us attacking like the $80 price tag that's coming with video games, stuff like that. We just wanted to put the question out there: are you a real fan if you won't pay $80 for the game? Please sound off to us in the comments. Let us know what you think on the live stream, whatnot. Please let us know. We want to hear about this, and we'll probably come back and revisit this topic on another night. So please, thank you for that. We're gonna go ahead and segue right into Expedition 33 because my God, like Corey, we could have actually been able to like contribute. Well, you actually did contribute to it. I haven't contributed to it yet.
Yeah. So I wanna preface this because this is Nick's topic, so I don't want to take it away from it. But I want to preface this by saying we're not going to spoil anything about the game because we know a lot of people are still kind of getting into it, word of mouth and whatever. The only things that we're going to talk about really is the stuff that's in the marketing and like really more of like the gameplay aspect of it. So I just want to preface it. We're going to try really, 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 really hard not to spoil it. So Nick, sorry, didn't mean to.
No, for sure. No, I mean, thank you for kind of segueing us into that. I think, for the topic tonight, I wanted to touch on something that, is near and dear to my heart. Obviously, same as you, Corey, and I think the rest of the panel, maybe besides LeRon, I think LeRon's stuck on Monster Hunter Wilds. We can't get him off of it, but it's okay. But yeah, I've been playing Expedition 33 and absolutely adoring that game. I think it's like the clear front runner for Game of the Year, in my opinion. I think it's just incredible on all fronts, front to back. But obviously, like you were saying earlier, Corey, it was a tweet that went out today indicating that Expedition 33 hits 3.3 million sales after 33 days of being in the market. So just over a month of being in the market, it's already hit 3.3 million units in sales. And this is not including the numbers that are on Game Pass. So this is a story that came from VGC. Essentially, obviously, it talks about those 3.3 million copies. And essentially, what this means is that we have a hit title on our hands from a AA developer who is just putting out their debut title. And a lot of analysts and a lot of pundits in the industry have been left scratching their heads as to what kind of synergy did Sandfall put together to make this actually be possible? How did they actually put a quality product out like this? And so not only people that are, media analysts in games media industry doing that, there's a lot of speculation from fans and player base, the player base for Expedition 33 that has gone online. And there is a lot of discourse surrounding this game. And I'm sure some of us here have seen this at some point. But there's a lot of conversations. And obviously, I had linked this to a Twitter post that's here implying that Expedition 33 has brought back turn-based combat, which is a really bold claim.
That's a bold claim because didn't we have Metaphor?
Right. So
Baldur's Gate.
I go on to say here is like, this begs the question, why are people saying this? Where did turn-based combat go? I don't know. Maybe Metaphor ReFantazio, Baldur's Gate 3, Fire Emblem Three Houses, Yakuza Like a Dragon, Octopath Traveler, Pokemon, Persona. Like the list goes on, right? Like, I would say that one of the things is that a lot of those franchises I listed maybe err on the side of being a little bit more niche. Like, of the people that are playing video games, obviously the Fortnite, the Call of Duty players, maybe they know more about a Final Fantasy than they would about a Shin Megami Tensei or Persona 5, right? Potentially that could be the case. And then obviously with Expedition 33 hitting the zeitgeist, and everybody kind of jumping into it, and also it being, free to play for all Game Pass members, I think I wanted to just pose this question. Are we all here fans of turn-based combat? Do we like this style? And would we agree that has this game validated turn-based combat in the mainstream?
You know what? I want to go first. On this.
No.
I've always loved turn-based combat. I've always loved it. It was refreshing when Chrono Trigger came out and we had the active time battle system, which was the first deviation from turn-based, even though technically it was still kind of turn-based, Basically, it was like, if you don't jump on your turn, like the computer's going to steal your turn, basically. I love that, and, it was a nice concept and stuff like that. I think people think because Final Fantasy is what put RPGs on the map, culturally and stuff like that, that what Final Fantasy is now is what all RPGs have been, even though, they haven't played a Dragon Quest game. The Dragon Quest games, last I checked, are still turn based. Stuff like that, and they still crank those out at a pretty decent pace and stuff like that.
Unapologetically so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, turn based combat has not gone away. Turn based combat just doesn't seem to be talked about because every new Final Fantasy game since 10. No. 10-2? No.
12, I would say.
12? So yeah, 12. Every Final Fantasy game since 12, has went away from that. And I think Square Enix did it right by going away from that, because there was a time when Final Fantasy sales were declining. They needed to do something to kind of shake it up, just like what Capcom did with Resident Evil. They went away from the tank controls, thank God. Even though Resident Evil 4 when it first came out also gave me a wicked case of 3D motion sickness. I could not finish Resident Evil 4 when it was on GameCube. When they put it on PS2, they did something that changed it, and I was able to play it. But yeah. But basically, Square Enix had to refresh a couple of things for Final Fantasy because like sales were dropping. Like guys like me had stopped playing Final Fantasy games for a while, and then like the fresh new hotness of 16 came out, and I was like, oh, got to get back into this. And Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth and the Rebirth project, but turn-based combat has always been there. I don't know why people are acting like it died or disappeared or something. Even Mass Effect, the first Mass Effect game was turn-based.
Yeah, I think the thing though, right, LeRon, on that point is that, and to Nick's point too, right, is like those are all like really anime inspired, heavily Japanese inspired games. Fire Emblem, super anime, right? I mean, when Three Houses outsells the rest of the series combined, right? Like that tells you something. Persona, right? I mean, that series is popular, but to what extent? I think they just announced that the entire series has sold 7 or 8 million units, and that's like through 5 or 6 games and re-releases and spin-offs and whatever. So and as popular as Metaphor was last year, I think it's only sold just over 1 million or 2 million units, but that game is also coming to Game Pass now. So I think the reason Expedition 33 has been so successful, couple reasons. One is that it is very Western presenting, right? Very, not anime.
It's a psyop.
Yeah,
it's a psyop. They're getting people into JRPGs just with a Western veneer over the cover.
Yeah, and for those who've played it, how active the combat is, regardless of the turn-based nature of it, right? Like the parries, the dodges, the jumps, the just the different types of things you can do during combat. And even though it's turn-based, it still feels very action forward. And so I think a combination of those things, plus like how weird and intriguing the story is, and the voice cast, like they released all those voice cast trailers, right? Of like, you have Charlie Cox in it, and Andy Serkis, and the actress that played Shadowheart in Baldur's Gate, and you have
Jennifer English, Ben Starr.
Yeah, Ben Starr. Like those are all names that draw people in too, and so I think they kind of hit this perfect storm, along with it coming to Xbox Game Pass, which I think gave a lot of eyes to the project, right, to this game, regardless of if you bought it or played it on Game Pass. And I think it was just a perfect storm, and just the quality of the game. I mean, it's not perfect by any stretch, right? There are some issues and graphical hiccups and pop-ins and other things, but like overall, for their first game as a studio, they should be very proud of themselves. And I think you're going to see a lot of people steal their turn-based combat in the future, because it is so unique to in modern standards, I think. So yeah, I mean, it drew me back in, right? I mean, like I just came off of 90 hours of Fire Emblem Engage, which I loved, but I'm gonna be honest with you, about 20 hours in, I was on auto battle.
Engage was a hot mess, unfortunately. It's a real shame, and it's actually a really great example of that. Like, intelligent systems can't be trusted with writing their own games, because it was actually Koei Tecmo writers that were brought in to actually write Fire Emblem Three Houses, which what made it so award winning when it actually popped off. Yeah, it's really interesting you say that about like the uniqueness and about the way that it presents. I would say that like Yakuza kind of is the thing that throws a wrench. And I mean, again, to your point, it is very much Eastern and Japanese. I mean, it's most of the settings are in Japan.
Yeah, but that's that to that point though, like up until Like a Dragon, it was basically a beat 'em up, and then it was becoming, and then now it's popular. Pivoted. Yeah.
But it's obviously like this is an interesting point for anybody who has been paying attention. Obviously, turn-based has been on the rise, and if anybody wants to say that it hasn't, I mean, look, just I would simply just point you to the sales of the Pokemon games for the past like 10 years or so, and be like, oh, like turn-based hasn't actually been a thing for so long. I think it's just an interesting thing that, in specifically to the point of the person who posted this Twitter post, this is a conversation that they've been having about Final Fantasy for quite some time. And I think the conversation about Final Fantasy versus like the other JRPGs is a completely different ball of wax when you get into it. And frankly, that's kind of the direction that I wanted to ask you in terms of just like the last question about this, is that like, because of the success of Expedition 33, we saw how Final Fantasy 16 really struggled to get a true market share. Now, that obviously was hindered by the fact that they were console exclusive on the PS5 for the time that they were, until ultimately they did come out on the PC. But by that point that happened, Final Fantasy 16 kind of lost a lot of its luster. It kind of lost a lot of the hype that came out with it. Even though I personally enjoyed it, I think it's a great game for what it is. Is it a perfect game? No, absolutely not. But because of what we've seen here with Expedition 33, do you think that this will influence publishers like Square Enix or even Nintendo in some instances of some of the game direction that they've decided to go in, to pivot back to their turn-based roots, maybe back to their maybe more of an older art style, or just the turn-based combat in general? Is it necessary for them to do that in 2025?
If I could just tack on, and I don't have much to add to the previous talking point, because I was kind of thinking a lot of what Corey was thinking, and with regards to Baldur's Gate, which I think was the other one, is because I initially just didn't even want to play Baldur's Gate when I heard about it, because I'm like, oh, I know nothing about Baldur's Gate 1 and 2,
Sure.
or anything D&D related. Eventually got into it, played it, loved it, and all that jazz. So I'm thinking like, maybe Expedition 33 kind of has struck that perfect balance of getting maybe an audience that might not traditionally be gravitate toward turn-based games. But back to your next point, your next question, maybe aside from Nintendo, because Nintendo does their own thing, and I think they are very familiar and very warm to turn-based combat. I would not be surprised if we do see publishers being influenced to kind of mimic this, because we go through cycles of what's kind of the genre of the year, or the years, or the setting of the year. I do feel like Expedition 33 is struck while the iron's hot, and we might see a couple that are inspired by, quote unquote, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is great, because when I first got into video games, I did like turn-based. I got bored of it for a while, just because, if you don't put your own spin on it, it does get stale. And I got drawn back into it from Baldur's Gate 3. So I'm planning on playing this game shortly. I just wanted to finish a few things. I would love to play more. Oh yeah, and Dragon Quest 3, the H2D, HD2, whatever.
Yeah, the
thing.
remaster, yeah. Well, it's interesting too that you say that, because one of the things about Expedition 33 is how integrative and how well thought out its battle system is. One of the things that makes me a little bit trepidatious about suggesting that Final Fantasy go back to its turn-based roots is that, like, are we going to see an overcorrection, and are they going to have like 1,000,001 menus? Because I think that genuinely Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth is one of the most perfect examples of the active ATB combat system, where it like strikes that perfect balance. If anybody has played those games, they're absolutely incredible. If you haven't played them, please go play them. If you're willing to put 120 hours into a classic JRPG that looks amazing in 2025. But all of that being said, it's like the idea of like, I would like Square to take the approach of simplified yet deceptively deep, the same way they did with Final Fantasy 16 and a lot of the active combat, more Devil May Cry action aspects of that game, but then maybe apply that to maybe turn-based combat with maybe a future Final Fantasy 17 or 18 title or something like that, where it's like it's very easy to learn but difficult to master. That would be really cool if they're able to strike that balance. I just get scared because, like, what if they just make it hard to play? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I also think the thing that Expedition 33 does well is that it can be, the combat can be as simple as you want. Like, you can go into like the story mode, and like you can just kind of do the turn-based stuff, and there's going to be a little bit of grinding, but not, you can kind of play through the story and get the gist of the combat and have a good time, or you can go into like New Game Plus and like we were talking about earlier, Nick, like the Pictos
Expert mode, yeah.
mode, and like really getting into the weeds of the combat, and you can either way you can have a good time with that game and still enjoy it.
Yeah,
which I think has a broad appeal too. Like you can get the casual people who are kind of interested in it. You can get the hardcore people, even like I see people comparing it to Souls games in some ways. Like I don't know if I would go that far, but it's deep and it's interesting, and I think that's why I'm still so fascinated with it, is because like that combat is just so good.
Yeah, for sure. Now, are any of us Final Fantasy IX fans, and have we heard about the rumors of the remake that's coming out? Corey, what would you like to see from that game? Like, is there what approach would you like Square to make?
So I don't think they're going to go the Final Fantasy VII route. I think it's going to be more of a traditional kind of by the book remake of like, we're going to kind of make, probably some sort of open world or hubs to a world map or something, right? Very similar to Expedition 33, I think they're going to do. But I think they're going to probably make the combat a little bit more active. I think they're probably going to add some things and kind of let you play around and customize the characters a little bit more. Like I think they're going to probably go that route, and
that'd be cool.
Maybe not so much change the combat, because I think what a lot of people kind of like about the combat is how simple but active it is, right? In terms of like, oh well, this the meter's filling up, we got to pick our move before the meter fills up for the enemy, right? And so that adds a lot of strategy also. So I mean, I really just want a good RPG out of that, because
for sure.
Final Fantasy IX was the first Final Fantasy I ever played, and so like it has a soft spot in my heart.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
But I just want it to be good. I mean, I don't even care if it's great. I just want it to be a good kind of retelling of that story and those characters, because the characters are charming, and it kind of, I really like how it kind of went back to more of the settings of like the SNES era, right? Of like sort of fantasy with some steampunky type things, whereas 7 and 8 are pretty futuristic for the at least at the time, right? And I wanted to hold that charm and have fun combat and tell the stories of those characters.
Absolutely. Well, that's pretty much everything that I had to cover on Expedition 33. I think that it's just important for people to see the forest for the trees and understand that like turn-based combat has and will probably continue to be for a long time a very popular genre in video games as a whole. And I think that it's important to just make sure that you expose. I really harp on this to all of my friends who just play Call of Duty or FIFA, as like I really want to sit them down and strap them to a chair and make them play like a dragon, or make them play Persona 5 Royale, and just kind of expose them to a little bit more culturally. So that's kind of what I would like to see. But speaking of what Corey said in terms of capturing nostalgia and kind of seeing that spark and getting that consistency back in, I mean, I think that we're looking at a Switch 2 pre-release conversation on what we might be able to expect from that. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, they said, maybe they weren't planning on it at first, but now, I mean, the game has done so well, I feel like they kind of have to at this point, right? Like, it would make sense for them. I mean, Nintendo fans would eat this game up for sure, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but I also think that like Nintendo's so weird, man. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we see this 5 years away from now, and it pops up on the store one day, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, Expedition 33 is on Nintendo Switch 2," and you're like, "Thanks, I'm ready for my next Mario game now. Thank you, please. I'm begging you. My fantasy critic is begging you."
Yeah, I mean this would be one of those things where it would have to come out, I would say, within the first 6 months of that console launching, or a year. I guess I would give them a year, especially if they weren't planning on it at first, right? And I'm sure Nintendo wants to announce it themselves, and I'm sure like they want a special release for it because it's Nintendo, right? And that'll kind of be a part of my topic at some point, but I feel like Stephanie's topic is worth going first because mine is kind of spinning off of her topic. So,
all right, sounds good. Sounds good. Well, wonderful topic. I really am enjoying Expedition 33. So yeah, like, I can't wait to see what the future holds for this game. Like, it looks like it. If it wasn't a contender for Game of the Year up to now, like, I think it is. I think
mean,
it will be.
It's mine for sure right now.
Yeah.
I think my sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, LeRon, but I was going to say the only thing in my mind based on what I know of right now, unless these showcases in June are crazy, Summer Games Fest, Xbox Showcase, the State of Play that's coming up for PlayStation, unless they got some crazy stuff we don't know about for 2025, all I'm saying is that Sucker Punch and the new Ghost of Yote game have a huge uphill battle to convince me that they are actually a real contender for like Game of the Year, just because of how good Expedition 33 is. And I mean, like, I loved Ghost of Tsushima, but I would say the weakest part about Ghost of Tsushima was definitely the writing, without a doubt. I thought Jin Sakai was an interesting character. It was all right, but like there wasn't a lot that was like super compelling. The compelling nature was just the exploration of the gameplay for me there. So.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and move on to our next topic. Well, we are right around the corner from Nintendo Switch 2 actually launching. As a matter of fact, by the time you are listening to this episode, most people will have successfully gotten a Switch 2 in their hands by that point. So let's go ahead and have a pre-release discussion for the Switch 2. I'm going to let Stephanie handle this because Stephanie brought this one to the table. So Stephanie, you got the floor.
Yeah, I had to. I had to turn this into Nintendo Power Block at some point, but I felt like this was the right time to do so because of that. Because whether you're a Nintendo fanboy girl or you hate Nintendo, I mean, anytime that there's a new console launch, at least for me, I get excited. Even if that's not I would not be partaking in buying the console. It's just really big. So, yes, we're 9 days away as of recording. According to, I believe it's Bloomberg, all the news articles were citing it. Nintendo was partnering with Samsung to help ramp up production of chips for the Switch 2 because they are expecting to ship 15 to 20 million. 15 is the conservative number. 15 to 20 million Switch 2 units by March of 2026. So that is a huge number and expectation for their first year. Just for reference, the first Switch that launched back in 2017, at the tail end of their fiscal year, their direct sales, although it's tricky to calculate, it sold about just under 18 million units worldwide in their first 13 months. So, I mean, if we're looking at the numbers here, we could see the Switch 2 definitely possibly surpassing the Switch 1 with their sales. But with that being said, I just want to have it be an open discussion of do we think Switch 2 has that same hype as the original Switch? I'll just start there. And did anyone get any accessories to go along with it?
Well, I got the camera and the Pro Controller and a memory card.
You got the camera.
Yeah.
Corey, what are you going to do with that camera, man?
My kids are going to play Mario Party.
That's fair. That's valid.
That's literally the only reason why I got it.
I got the Piranha Plant camera, so it can at least look good just sitting there.
Yeah.
Okay, so it blends in with the decor. Got it.
Yeah.
This is the first pre-launch where I did not do the thing that I normally do. I would have already bought a couple. I would have already bought a couple of games by now, and at least. Well, I'm not spending money for extra Joy-Cons. Not for this sucker. Nope.
Yeah.
Nintendo's continuing the trend of the most expensive, like, basic controller on the market. Nope, I'm not doing it. Like,
but LeRon, press C to chat.
Whatever. Yeah, but this is the first time I'm actually woefully underprepared. Like, I'll probably have the console and probably won't have a damn thing to play on it. At least not for the backwards compatible games, I guess. But beyond that, like, this is going to be the one that I'm the least prepared for. Because
that
I
would be smart, LeRon, because sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Like the thing I did with the Switch is I went overboard and bought all the bells and whistles on first day or first month. But
oh,
then,
wow.
they always come out with all like the special editions and
The
franchise
pro
related
ones,
things. So I'm
yeah.
like, so now I really bought, other than the Piranha Plant camera, bare minimum, because when they do come out with that Zelda Pro controller or Zelda
Oof,
case or whatever, I will buy that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I think ultimately the reason why, like, for example, we look at the PlayStation 5, for example, because that was the last console I bought. Well, no, I lied, because I bought the ROG Ally, the first ROG Ally, on launch day. But I already had games ready for this. I had the whole Steam library.
Right.
But yeah, like, for the PS5 was the last console the most recent console I bought. Like, and before I even had the console in my possession and stuff like that, I already had like Miles Morales and a couple of other games. I had an extra PS5 DualSense controller. Did I have anything else for it? Actually, that was a pretty basic one. I had Switch games for months before I bought my Switch. I bought the Nintendo Switch on a whim. I was in Best Buy. And they had just given me like a bunch of like store credit for something, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy a Switch right now, but I already had games for it. I already had Bayonetta 2. I had a whole bunch. I had like 5 games for it already and stuff like that. I already had the Pro controller. I even bought a case for it. Like, I bought a case for a system I didn't even have yet, stuff like that. But I don't know, for some strange reason for the Switch 2, like, I'm just more like, let me just go ahead and get the system, in my hands, and not worry about what I'm going to get and play on it later, because I'm in this weird space now. Like, I think the only reason why I got the Switch 2 is because I want to be able to mess around with the hardware the first day.
That's
I want to
fair.
be able to like witness the hardware in action and stuff like that. If I'm gonna get a game and this is like a double dip, it will probably be Cyberpunk, but only because I have not gotten the Phantom Liberty for the PC version. So, like, this would be a reason why. And then I'm gonna mess around and buy Phantom Liberty for the PC version, because that's just the stupid person that I am.
I actually got a lot of games for launch, but mostly to cover for PowBlock. So I got Street Fighter 6, I got Cyberpunk, Hogwarts Legacy, which has a $10 upgrade if you own it on Switch, by the way.
It's also in the PlayStation Plus catalog right now, I think, Hog Leg.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time I turned my PlayStation on, I'm going to be honest with you.
Oof, yikes.
I hate the PlayStation 5.
That's
It's
crazy.
awful.
That's crazy.
Dude, I've been thinking about selling it for like a year.
You've been doing what on it? You've been
Thinking about selling it for like a year.
Thinking about selling it?
Yeah.
Why do you keep it? What's the thing that's keeping it for you?
Wolverine.
We're not going to get that game. I don't think we're going to get it. I think it's vaporware.
Well, when they tell me it's over, then I'm
You're
shipping
going to
the
sell
thing
it.
out.
Got it. That's fair.
No, also, like, I still want to play Horizon, because like I really like Horizon.
I need to play for Forbidden West. I need to play it.
Yeah.
I love Zero Dawn. I absolutely adore that game. So
Yeah. There's something else I was keeping it for, but now I forget, so it doesn't matter, I guess. But
the next Naughty Dog game.
yeah, Intergalactic looks good. But yeah, I just I did buy a welcome tour. So
You bought it? That should have come packaged in. What was it, like $10, $15?
Dude, it's $10. It's $10 and there's 50 plus mini games. So
ridiculous.
They totally like, they shouldn't have called it welcome tour. They should have called it something to tell people that there are games in there.
1, 2, 3, Switch 2.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hey.
There you go.
Hey, everybody
Put Steph
wants
in
your
charge of
Switch.
the marketing department.
Yeah. I mean, I agree that or Drag X Drive should have been packed in, but also we know Nintendo and they don't give things away.
They don't do that kind of
That's
thing.
kind of
Yeah.
like I don't know if you guys read Reggie's book or not, but there's like a whole section of him arguing with Miyamoto about packing in Wii Sports with the Wii.
Yeah. He had to really fight for it, apparently.
Yeah, to fight for it.
Yeah. So yeah, I actually bought a lot to cover for PowBlock. But also, like, I kind of am really intrigued at how third-party stuff runs on this thing.
I am so curious about that too. Like, how is Cyberpunk gonna look?
I mean, is it going to be like
2?
is it going to be like the Doom of Switch 1, right? Like,
And if it does look halfway decent on the Switch 2, how hot and how loud is this thing going to get while it's running something like Cyberpunk?
Will it
That's
sound
my
like an
real
airplane
question.
taking off?
That's
Yeah.
the real question. Like, what? Because I'll tell you what, I also have the ROG Ally. You know, shout out to you, LeRon. But like, if that thing, if I have it, it's fine when it's plugged in. But as soon as it's unplugged and it's playing anything beyond the lowest settings of any game, it sounds like a PS4 Pro that hasn't had its thermals fixed. It sounds loud, and it also gets very hot. So it's one of those things where the technology has a long way to go, I think.
Yeah. I'm definitely waiting for version 2 to come out. Like I hope it doesn't wind up looking I hope it doesn't wind up looking like what it is. Like I have both the Ally and the Ally X. And I love as a matter of fact, I am almost ready to put like SteamOS on my original ROG Ally just to see. I already know like I'm gonna be pissed off because like I'm not gonna play half the games, like Game Pass games and all that stuff. I know I'm not gonna be able to play all this stuff. So, but I also want to see how it performs on it. I'm just waiting for the Valve official build.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say that to answer, I'm sorry, Corey. I didn't know if you had any more thoughts on that front.
I mean, I do, but I'll save them for later.
Yeah, I was just going to say directly to your question though, Steph. Like when we talk about hype for the Nintendo Switch 2, I think it's at an all-time high. I genuinely do, and I think that one of the reasons why the pre-orders are completely sold out is very much a good indicator of that. I think also it's one of the things because Nintendo effectively, because of how well the Switch has sold, I mean, we're looking at 150.86 million units over its lifetime right now, which is just slowly below the PlayStation 2. And it's likely to be where it's like if they include Nintendo Switch, 1 and 2 as part of the same console, unit or whatever like that, they'll probably say it's like the best selling console ever. And I do think that Nintendo has kind of put their money where their mouth is in terms of delivering us the first party hits. Not only, I mean, we're totally looking at like 6 first party games on the launch of the Switch 2 between Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Kirby Air Riders, and a few of the other ones that they displayed at the Nintendo, Direct. I mean,
Drag X Drive, the most important.
Pretty solid, pretty stacked lineup. I mean, the only thing that I would like is my new Mario to come out this year. I don't think we're going to get it. I don't think they love me enough for that. But all that being said, I think that they're going to do some really interesting things with this console generation. And I also think that the mouse functionality on the Switch 2 is going to be a huge deal, a bigger deal than I think we're giving them credit for right now. And I think it's going to democratize and unlock a lot more sweaty first-person shooter gaming for all the kids out there who don't have enough money for a PC rig right now. Like we're going to have kids, tilting soggy 90s on Fortnite and just no clipping people through screens. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be intense.
Yeah, of all the features when Nintendo finally announced Nintendo Switch 2, it was the mouse capabilities. I'm like, that. Well, I mean, obviously that and it runs better. Like it's catching up. But the mouse because like there's things, I'm not a first person shooter person. However, there are some games that that they're more PC friendly because of mouse and keyboard. Indie games that I like, very hard on the Switch. With
CRPGs like Baldur's Gate 3 or Civilization.
Civ, yeah, exactly. Like that's the kind of stuff where I actually would hesitate to play on the Switch, but with Switch 2, that will not be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if, I mean, this kind of goes into my topic a little bit, but I kind of want to bring it up here. I wonder if some of those games will find a second life on this thing, like Baldur's Gate 3, if they ever put it on Switch 2, right? I mean, that would be a pretty big hit considering how a lot of people really liked it on Steam Deck specifically.
Mm-hmm. I think it depends on how they market it for sure.
Oh yeah,
but I can see that happening.
But yeah, I mean, I'm really interested in third party stuff. Plus, like I was telling Ed on Palblock, but I'm really trying to become like if I can play most things on one platform, that's what I'm going to try to do regardless at this point. There's too much going on in life and too many options. And if I can kind of stick to one without having to go to another, I think I'm going to try to stick to that.
Yeah.
And
that's fair.
I did I did kind of jokingly say I hate my PlayStation 5, or 10 minutes ago, but I mean, there's like, in all fairness, like the things I want to play are on Xbox, and I prefer that platform. And the PlayStation exclusives that are readily available just haven't really done it for me. And
Well, PlayStation, yeah, they've failed on their console exclusives for this generation. I mean, like the PS5 aside, obviously being the success that it has been in terms of pure sales numbers, they haven't delivered nearly the same way that the Nintendo Switch or really Xbox has this console generation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I think my favorite game on PS5 right now is the Miles Morales game, and that's not even really a PlayStation.
It's a PlayStation 4 game.
Yeah,
I
mean,
remember you saying a lot about some of the other games last episode, like Last of Us Part 2, or some of the other games they have. It's like mostly PS4 titles.
Yeah, I mean, they do have exclusives, right, and pretty decent ones, but most of them are second party, right? Like Stellar Blade and what was that other one that came out? Rise of the Ronin,
Final Fantasy Rebirth.
Yeah, Final Fantasy games. Those are all second and third party games that just happen to be exclusive. So, or timed exclusive. Even Death Stranding, right? Like that was a timed exclusive for a while, and so, I've always been kind of critical that PlayStation games just aren't for me anyway. Like I love Uncharted, I really do. Like if Uncharted 5 ends up coming out soon, which they showed it in that one trailer and then never even talked about it again. At least that's the speculation. And the San Diego team, the untitled San Diego team, is supposedly working on it. But it's not worth me keeping like a third subscription, or I mean, I don't even remember the last time I updated it. I didn't even see any of the 30th anniversary stuff. And that's just my preference. I'm not trying to hate people for liking PlayStation, right? I'm not trying to be a console warrior here, everybody. I'm just saying I can play Assassin's Creed on my Xbox. I can, sorry.
The problem that you're facing now, though, is that something that you had kind of mentioned earlier, and something that people won't really have to worry about with the Switch 2, that you can kind of, shout out to Nintendo for, is that the backwards compatibility is going to be a thing. The only thing you do have to worry about on Xbox is, like, realistically, especially with how Satya Nadella has been treating Phil Spencer and everything that involves that, like, we got maybe at most one more console generation of Xbox left before they're a publishing platform.
Yeah.
And maybe you have the app on the computer, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think there are two things that are going to happen, that need to happen before Xbox goes away completely. One, they need to figure out how to get their backwards compatible catalog working on whatever the next version of Windows is, which is coming soon apparently. And they're trying to shove an Xbox into the Windows platform, like a full Xbox operating system, so that it operates on these handheld PCs. Two, Phil Spencer and this entire regime are going to either retire or be forced out or whatever. Unfortunately, Phil's done a lot of great things for the brand, but he does not fit the direction that Microsoft wants to go with it now. And so I actually think Phil would do awesome at another publisher at some point. But yeah, I think those are the two things that need to happen, and you will not see an Xbox proper anymore. It'll be go away. I mean, they could explore like the Steam box idea, right? Where like, oh, this is a set-top box that plays Xbox games. I think they're really hoping that cloud tech takes off. Man, I can't tell you how many times my Samsung TV is like, hey, hook up your controller and you can play your Xbox games without a console. And I'm like, but I have one plugged in. You literally see it on my sidebar right here. It says Xbox Series X.
Yeah, for sure.
But again, like my nephews are really into cloud gaming. They love it.
Can't get behind it. The latency is just so awful.
I know, I can't either. But my one nephew swears by it. Like he has a Chromebook for school. He plugs his Xbox controller into it and he plays Xbox on his Chromebook.
Hey, I mean, if that works
through the Xbox browser.
Yeah, that's insane.
Does he have like super internet? What the heck?
I don't know. I mean, he still has a proper Xbox that he has in his bedroom, but like if he's like in the living room with his laptop. He'll just plug the
Damn
controller in.
kids.
I mean,
They're
but what is he
just
running?
lazy.
He's running Roblox and Minecraft. Like,
No,
you know,
he's-
these
he played the entirety of Halo 4 on Cloud
That's
Gaming. He played
actually wild.
him and my nephew played Halo 4 and 5 through Cloud Gaming.
Yeah, they must have super fiber or something like that, because that's insane.
I mean, we do have fiber in this area, but
Yeah,
they're not wired. They're not hardwired in.
yeah.
It's
Interesting.
impressive.
Yeah. it's weird.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think we can transition to your topic, Corey, because the only other part, to talk about was, GameStop midnight releases and that free Red Bull energy drink if you're a pro member.
I would love to go to a midnight release. Like, I want to pull up with a grill and a cooler full of beer and do a
Yes.
midnight release somewhere. Like, I want that in my life. You know what I mean? And they're just not really a thing anymore, and it's sad.
Yeah,
I was
GameStop's
actually
not
going
good.
to ask then, if you just want to answer like real quick, do you think the Switch 2 kind of sort of brought back a little bit, or do you think this was like a small little bit of excitement that'll fizzle out?
I think it's gonna fizzle out because I think that a lot of people are gonna be disappointed because folks who didn't get the pre-orders are gonna try and show up, and a lot of them aren't just gonna get anything. So
I
Got
agree.
it.
And
I
we-
agree.
And we all know how Nintendo loves to do things 10 years behind the rest of everybody else. So,
right.
midnight releases are quite hip in 2011. So,
Which is a shame. It's a damn shame. I will say, I before we move on, I do have a funny story about that though. I don't know if you all remember the launch of Halo Reach, but it was like peak golden years. I was going to Appalachian State University at the time, and it was a midnight release. And what they did in order, because obviously this was back when, discs were still a thing, for people to secure or to basically to get a copy, they had a limited number of inventory that were in store for folks who hadn't pre-ordered it ahead of time. And they hosted a Halo 3 Killman tournament, basically, where it was like essentially like a 2v2 tournament where you and your best friend got together, and they had a bunch of like stations set up with all of their little exhibition like TVs that they had in the store at the time. And there was like maybe like 100 kids from App State that were at the store that night. And I do vividly remember playing with my buddy Caleb, and we actually went in there and we beat everybody. We eventually took third place, and I got my copy of Halo Reach that night. And that was a magical feeling. When I walked out of the store, I like put it up above my head. I was like, let's go. And then everybody like popped off in the crowd. Like, this is magic. This is magic that the fucking kids, they're never going to taste because they have to deal with scalpers now. And how sad is that? How sad?
Yeah.
Very sad.
It makes me cry.
yeah, that was me during the Halo 3 launch. I bought the big Master Chief helmet, which is still sitting over here. Like, it's
Heck yeah.
like I remember getting it, and dude, the box was so big. Like, me holding the box, I could barely fit through the GameStop door. Right, so I had to like change how I was holding the box so I could get it through.
Yeah.
And then I ended up
Incredible.
yeah, it was awesome. I also ended up getting those Halo like anime inspired controllers that they released with it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. That was a good night. That was fun.
It's heartwarming.
There was like
stories.
120. Yeah, there was like 120 people there. Like, there was a ton of people. Like, Jimmy John's came out and we were like passing sandwiches out to everybody and coupons.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
it was cool. Yeah, and then the last midnight launch I think I went to was Gears 4. I think.
Oof.
Yeah.
a tough one, but
I like Gears 4.
you like
But
yours?
there was
Okay.
like
That's fair.
5 people there. So
Yeah.
and now that GameStop doesn't exist. Rip.
You hate to see it.
All right, so yeah, let's go ahead and because like this topic kind of runs hand in hand with Stephanie's topic, Switch 2 and the curse of double dipping. Like, everyone knows what double dipping is at this point now. If you don't, like bless you, you're like one of the last virgins of video games out there.
Yeah.
But
I mean, what does that make Ed? Because he buys every game on every console.
You know, I
love Ed so much.
I love it. I love it. I love Ed too. But I mean, that's somebody that does a lot with their adult money.
Yeah, I got to meet Ed at PAX, and he's such a nice guy. Such a nice
Oh
guy.
yeah,
Really
oh
fun
yeah.
to meet.
He's wonderful. He's
Yeah.
wonderful. So the Nintendo Switch 2 is launching with strong third party support. Excuse me, throat got dry all of a sudden. Bringing a wide variety of popular games to the platform right from the start. This shows that major publishers are confident in the system's success and want to be a part of its launch. With upgraded hardware and a focus on portability, many Nintendo fans will likely double dip by repurchasing third-party games they already own on other platforms just to enjoy them on the go. Corey, I'm turning this over to you because this is your topic.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we've all double dipped at one point or another on something that we have enjoyed. I know I have specifically on Switch because of PAL Block, trying to figure out if things run and just kind of liking things there regardless. But it kind of feels like Switch 2 is trying to be somewhat modern, and I think a lot of people are going to lean into the portability factor, especially if you're not a PC person and don't want a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally. And yeah, I totally expect people to double dip on things, specifically things like Street Fighter or Final Fantasy. Maybe not Cyberpunk, right? But just because I feel like first person shooters all the way are probably more PC or console centric essentially. But regardless, I think that game's going to be really fascinating to see, especially if it has mouse support, right? Which I think it does. Also, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Nintendo Life put up a thing that said Switch 2 sure works well with a regular USB mouse. So there's that.
I did see that. I kind of glanced over, but I did see it.
So, and once Expedition 33 comes out on the Switch 2, which I think is inevitable at this point, I will definitely be purchasing that again. So my question is, what have you double dipped on, and do you regret it, essentially? Stephanie, you're a big fan of Limited Run. That's a whole lot of double dipping.
Or triple dipping, but sometimes out of stupidity. The timing was wild. So, Limited Run, I order a lot from them, but as you may know, one thing about Limited Run is when you pre-order, it usually takes a significant lead time to get your product. Whatever. Sometimes that doesn't bode well for someone who has a memory issue, because I'm playing Chicory, A Colorful Tale, because I'm trying to kill my backlog before the summer. This is digital. I bought Chicory digitally on the Switch, and I'm playing it not this second, but right now. And then I get an email, but I get like 2 emails saying that my limited run collector's edition of Chicory is coming in the mail. I'm like, why am I getting 2 emails? Maybe they sent me duplicate by accident. I get 2 copies of this Chicory collector's edition in the mail the same day. 2 identical boxes addressed to me. So now I have 3 Switch copies of Chicory A Colorful Tale. So if anyone wants one, yeah.
I won't
So
say no. I've been meaning to play that game, Steph.
It's good. So I'll save you one.
Okay.
It's still sealed. Other than that, though, because that was clearly me being a bonehead and pre-ordering the same thing twice, like a nincompoop. I generally wouldn't mind double dipping if it is for a special, collector's edition. But I try not to, just because financial reasons. I'm in the more unfortunate side of things where I had to pick up a second job, but I have done it before. Um, I've been trying to do this for the Switch too, which is a risk. Like, I didn't play Metaphor Refantasio. I didn't play Elden Ring, because this is all in my head thinking it'll come on the Switch too. Some of which will happen, but there's no guarantee. And I can see you making that face, Nick, because it's true. Like we're lucky we're getting the Tarnished edition for Elden Ring, but does that mean we're necessarily getting all the other things I've been holding off on? That's a really risky move.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I
and
don't know.
I started doing that too, Stephanie, probably about probably about a year ago, honestly, because like I was really wanting to get Final Fantasy VII Remake. This was when my grand idea was like I'm gonna play the original first, and then I'm gonna play Crisis Core before I go into the remake. And
Nope.
like then I just got halfway through 7 and was like, oh my gosh, this game is
It's
There's
it did not
insanely
age well.
long.
There's a reason.
It's
There's a
so
reason
long.
why I'm laughing.
I know you are. Look, Cog already laughed me off the podcast that night, so I don't need to reiterate that either. Mostly because that's like one of his favorite games of all time. So yikes. Anyways, nothing like embarrassing yourself in front of one of your podcast heroes on
Also,
your own show.
can we talk about how Crisis Core is like the most incomprehensible addition to the Final Fantasy VII like mythos, particularly with how they're changing like the space-time continuum. Oh, sorry, this is not really spoilers, but like
not spoilers,
like Nomura is changing shit with these remakes, and like if you compare that, like I watched the cutscenes for Crisis Core and I was like, what is going on? And then I immediately started playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I was like, what is going on? Because this is nothing like what I understand it to be. Yeah. So yeah, sorry.
Barrett actually dies instead of Aerith. Spoilers.
I hate it. Thanks.
You're welcome. But honestly, with the Final Fantasy VII remake, I was like, something tells me this is going to come to the Switch too, and so I waited. And they announced it.
Is it actually going to?
Yeah, they announced the whole trilogy is coming.
Wow, that's actually crazy. I will be very curious to see how it performs on the Switch.
Because it did not run well on the PlayStation 5. So,
I enjoyed the Rebirth on the PlayStation 5 Pro. That's just all I'm saying.
Look, now Square Enix just needs to do the right thing and put Kingdom Hearts on the Switch too, and then the all will be forgiven. That's all I'm saying.
They'll probably put Kingdom Hearts 4 on the Switch 2 on the very last year of the Switch 2's life cycle. That's what's going to happen.
Probably.
Odd version.
I'm calling it right here. Remember I said that, folks.
Yeah, we're going to mark this for 2033.
Yeah.
Wait, the main question is do we double dip? Was that the main question?
Or have we double dipped?
Have we double dipped, and do we regret it?
Oh my!
I've double dipped. Sorry, go ahead, LeRon. That's my fault. I just was...
No. It's okay. It's okay. I know for sure. Like Monster Hunter World, Monster Hunter Rise, I double dipped because like when they came out on the PC, I immediately like moved over to playing them on PC. I'd already bought the PS4 edition of Monster Hunter World on the when that launched, and I also bought Monster Hunter Rise when that launched on the Switch. Stephanie, I'm sorry I abandoned you. Because when Rise came out on the PC, I definitely was like, I'm done.
Fair.
Stephanie was playing with me on the Switch for a little while.
It was more just I was driving LeRon crazy because I don't know how to play good.
No. Like I will say this. Like I am a much better Monster Hunter like mentor now than I was back when when Monster Hunter was a brand new game back in 2004. Like I pretty much am there to help now. But yeah, I can't tell you how many copies of Street Fighter Alpha 2 and 3 I bought across multiple consoles, especially like because I bought them first on PlayStation. Then the Sega Saturn version came out, and I was like, "Holy crap! This is like arcade perfect." So yeah, like I not only did I, in some cases I imported, but also like I found a 64 meg cartridge for the Saturn, and that unlocked everything in these fighting games. Now like buying all the Capcom fighting games, whether I was importing them or not, and stuff like that. Then the Dreamcast versions come out, and the PS2 versions came out. Like I bought so many copies of Street Fighter Alpha 2 and 3. It doesn't make any sense. And Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, Those
are all great games, though.
They are great, but at the same time, like it's funny that like in my late 40s now, I'm having this conversation with myself about like how I spend my money on video games. Especially when like there's big things on the horizon, like buying a car, buying a house, stuff like this. It's like, man, what was I doing with my money?
Yeah.
Let me see. The only technically, well, yeah, I've doubled. I bought Catherine on PS3, and then bought it again on PC, and then bought it again on the Switch.
As you should.
But the Switch is the full body
As you should.
edition.
Yeah, the full body
There you
edition.
go.
That's the only
There you
reason
go.
why I bought the Switch version, because that's the only way that's the only place you can get the full body edition. What else? Bayonetta doesn't really count, even though technically I bought Bayonetta on PS3, Bayonetta and Vanquish both on PS3, and then I bought the dual pack when it came out on Steam.
Am I crazy, or is Bayonetta like not Switch exclusive now? I know you can get it on Steam, but like, is the Switch the only console you can buy it on?
No, so Bayonetta 1 was so Bayonetta as a franchise is a Sega franchise.
Right. Okay.
So Sega published Bayonetta 1. Nintendo funded and published Bayonetta 2 and 3. So 2 and 3 and the Bayonetta Origins are all Nintendo exclusive.
Okay.
Bayonetta 1
Got
you
it.
can buy on everything.
Yeah, so you get a set me straight. Okay. Because I definitely own Bayonetta 1 on the Steam, but I don't know. Yeah, as to buying 2 and 3. We'll see.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I'll say for the most part, like I jokingly say that I regret a lot of my double dipping, but at the same time, hey, like it's part of my gamer DNA and stuff like that. So now like I've kind of aged out of doing that. So like I really have to pick and choose when I'm actually going to like rebuy another game, especially on the console, because like I guess now that the handheld PCs are out there, it doesn't make it doesn't make it that hard anymore. Now if it's like a superior edition that's coming out, meaning that the developers like re-released it with a whole bunch of new bells and whistles and stuff like that, like if Armored Core Fires Rubicon comes out, on the Switch 2, as an expanded and updated edition and stuff like that, and we know for sure it's not coming in the PC in any format, maybe.
Yeah. I would say that in terms of some of the games that I've double dipped on, obviously it's the classic. Like I've bought Skyrim maybe 3 times on accident, right? Just because you have to have Skyrim on like whatever console you're playing on.
I have it on my toaster.
Yeah, you gotta play Skyrim on it. It's like Doom. Can it play Skyrim? But yeah, I've definitely done that. I bought The Witcher 3 times actually. I bought it the first time on the Xbox One, and then forgot that I owned it when I bought it and ultimately finished it on the PS4 Pro. Mm-hmm. And then it came out with because obviously I'm a PC player now, or I play a lot of games on PC, a lot more than I thought I ever would. CD Projekt came out and they released a patch that was like a DLSS 4 upgrade that was like an official remaster for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. And I was like, you know what? I have to have this because
that was recent.
Yeah, it was relatively recent. It was like last year they did that. And this was like at the same time that they were doing the Phantom Liberty work that came out with Cyberpunk 2077, and like The Witcher 3 came out with this huge new like path tracing update that they were DLSS 4 update they were doing for it. And I was like, hey, Witcher 3 already a pretty game, but if it can look even better on my PC, I bought it. Am I gonna play it? Absolutely not. But I have it there if I want to. I have it. I own it.
Yeah, I have the actually I just realized I have the GOG edition of Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and I have the Steam edition of Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
The good thing about The Witcher though is that it's cross save.
Yes.
Sick. That's sick.
So in case you ever do go to play it on PC, you can just load up your save and be like, I'm ready. Here we go.
There you go. Yeah, my thing too though is I love games so much that I don't really regret it too much when I'm like, oh, I've already owned this, but I bought it again and I didn't realize that I already owned it. However, I'm pretty cognizant of whether or not, like, I keep pretty close track of like what I own and what I actually have access to. The only game that, and this is going to kind of give you insight to the kind of player that I am. The only game that I am pulling my hair out and just flipping desks over and just inconsolably angry that I purchased multiple times was Dragon's Dogma 2. I bought Dragon's Dogma 2 to review it on the show. We reviewed it on the show. Spoiler alert, you don't have to go back and listen to that review. I fucking hated that game. My co-host Will and our guest on the show, Matt Stormageddon, who is fantastic, they both enjoyed it immensely. And I despise that game a lot. I have a lot of problems with the way that Itsuno set up the world and the expansion. I didn't care for it. But I bought it originally on PC thinking like, oh, this is going to be the best way to play the game, because I played it on this like 4090 like computer when I was at PAX East 24, and I was like, oh, this looks beautiful. I'll play this on my rig. And I bought it on mine. I only have like a 3070, and I started playing. I was like, this looks terrible. This looks
70
awful.
8 gigs of VRAM.
No,
Am I right?
This has like 16, so it's
Okay.
not great. But yeah, either way, it's not ideal. Regardless, I ended up buying it again on the PS5, so I actually could play it at a decent resolution, and it was like a locked 30 or maybe a locked 60 or something like that. I can't remember what they were doing it, but I played it, and I finished the game over on the PS5 after already putting 20 to 25 hours over it on the PC just so I could do it for the review, and I'm glad that game is behind me. I'm so glad it's done. But yeah, that's like the only one in like recent memory that I'm like, I'm a little pressed that I actually had to buy that a couple of times. But other than that, like,
I double dipped.
I'm okay.
I double dipped Mega Man 9. I bought the Wii version of it, and then I bought I can't remember if I bought the Wii version first and the PS3 version second, or I bought the PS3 version first and then the Wii version second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't regret that one at all. That one, I feel like the Wii's Virtual Console was like the best iteration of the Virtual Console Nintendo's ever had.
Yep.
Yeah, the 3DS one was a mess, honestly. I like the Wii U's Virtual Console setup, but the games were kind of all over the place in the releases and everything, so
yeah.
Well, I think it's no surprise that I double dipped on Destiny on 3 different platforms. Whoops.
Is it not cross save or
when I bought them? It is now.
It's
so
Destiny.
I had an Xbox character that I played with my Xbox friends, and I had a PlayStation character that I played with my PlayStation friends, and trying to keep up with 2 systems was yikes.
Corey, is Bungie your favorite developer?
Maybe
like classic.
Maybe
Bungie,
you would have asked me like a year ago.
Okay, yeah. Not right now, clearly. But
no, I mean, I think Bungie's gunplay and gameplay is second to none. I think their weapons are extremely interesting, and regardless of what's happening with Marathon, from everything that I've heard, the gunplay and the shooting is impeccable, even for an alpha build. I don't know if they're my favorite developer. Also, like I know a lot of people that got laid off there, so also maybe not the best light either. But I think the core of that team, outside of the leadership there, are incredible developers, and they make some very interesting things. I think that they are kind of pigeonholed by leadership, and so that kind of puts, I mean, most AAA studios that are owned by larger publishers are, I would imagine, but I think if they were let loose, they could make, I mean, with how good the Final Shape was, I think that is the best thing Bungie has ever put out, in my opinion, even the classic Halo games.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. But also they've been on such like a roller coaster. This expansion's amazing. This one sucks. This one's amazing. This one's fine. This one's awesome. And there's a lot of inconsistency there. Also, being the kind of first major live service game in this style, not called World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy 14, is probably an uphill battle all the time. So I try to take that into consideration as well. But they're a top developer for me. I don't know if they would be my favorite. I do love Destiny, regardless of its flaws. Its many many flaws, including their Darth Vader, straight up Darth Vader skin that you get if you pre-order the expansions now. So,
I think my final thought on this is that I don't regret maybe like 90% of the stuff I've double dipped on. There were some things I definitely double dipped on and was like, I don't know why I bought this when I played it the first time and was satisfied, like I've got 3 copies of Chrono Trigger. It's hilarious the way, but also nostalgia factors into it sometimes.
LeRon, do you think it's true that the DS version of Chrono Trigger is the best version of that game?
Oh God, you're gonna ask me this? Oh my God, because I love the PS1 Chrono Trigger, even though I know there's a loading time every time you get into a battle. I love it. I love it for some strange reason. The DS version of Chrono Trigger, I have played it and messed around with it. I will say that it is probably the superior version. I don't like the one thing I didn't like about every iteration of Chrono Trigger after the SNES release is the tweaks they did to the soundtrack. I'm one of those purists because I think Chrono Trigger is like in my top 5 all time favorite like video game soundtracks and stuff like that. So as I played each iteration, the PS1 version was a different iteration from the Super NES, but it was still a little true to it. But the 3DS version, the DS one was definitely like a you could tell the music was different, but the same, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's Yasunori Mitsuda and Nobuo Uematsu. Like, it doesn't get much better than that.
I know. Like, God, like, what? Give Chrono Trigger the Final Fantasy VII Remake treatment. I am begging you.
Oh, I don't want that.
You think that? Yeah. Square Enix thinks people are buying Final Fantasy VII Remake right now. Like, Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy Tactics remakes will fly off the shelves.
Well,
now Final Fantasy Tactics.
Sorry.
There you go. No, we're on the same mind. Like, Corey, like we're both Fire Emblem boys, all right? Fire Emblem boys rise up. So like if we give FF Tactics that's modern, that has all of the new like Fire Emblem like mechanics that they implemented, we're gonna be so back. We've never been more back.
Look, Nick, if Square Enix is really gonna make a Tactics Ogre remaster, they're gonna make a Final Fantasy Tactics remaster. Okay, I'm just saying. You're gonna spend that money on that.
I guess the only reason why they did Tactics Ogre remaster recently is because like Final Fantasy Tactics technically was already remastered one time. War of the Lions I think is a superior.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think it's but yeah, you've got to remaster or remake War of the Lions. Come on, you just cannot leave us hanging like that.
I will take it.
Stephanie's looking at us like, what are you nerds talking about?
Actually, Stephanie, you should play Final Fantasy Tactics.
Also, big shout out to CG Danny B. I see you in the chat, my guy. My thing's not linked in there, but we love you, Danny.
I see him. He's there.
We love you.
He was on, 2 weeks ago? Right?
Last week? 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago? Wow, time. Yeah. What is time?
I know, right?
The ocarina.
Time is a farce.
But you know what? Hey, this is a wonderful segue because you know what? I think we should really give some respect to the classics. I really think we should do that. You guys feeling that? You guys feeling that with me?
Let's respect some classics right now.
All right, awesome.
Just kidding. I love Mass Effect 3.
Oh man.
Sorry.
Middle finger emoji.
Hey,
Corey. I heard Corey say that some would say it's the worst of the franchise.
No, it definitely.
That's what he said. That's what I heard him say.
Definitely is not the worst of the franchise.
All right, so this is a segment we like to call Respect the Classics. What is Respect the Classics? Basically, Respect the Classics is where each one of us on the panel tonight talk about a game from a previous generation, actually 2 generations removed at least. So like, I'm sorry, PS4 and Xbox One, you're not invited to the table tonight unless it was a game that was remade on your system. That's the only caveat I'll give you. Stuff like that. So Jet Set Radio kind of creeps back into the chat, basically. But anyway, So yeah, each one of us we're gonna shout out one game that we'd have like adoration, love for, and all that stuff, and we're just gonna talk about it real quickly and see if we can wax nostalgic on like this whole thing. So yes, welcome to Respect the Classics, Nick. You're our guest tonight, so I'm gonna let you go first.
Oh, I get to go first. Thank you so much, LeRon. I'm excited to talk about this. This is a game that a good friend of mine, Rick Firestone from Pixel Project Radio, turned me on to, and we actually reviewed it on his show together. And it's called Xenosaga Episode 1, Der Wildermacht, published by Monolith Soft. And this is a fucking JRPG, ladies and gentlemen and NBs out there. This is like one of the best that they ever made, to be honest with you. This is a group of people that spun off from Square at the time and decided to make their own JRPG. And this is written by a couple of writers. It's actually, I think, I can't remember the name of the writing team that is on this, but they were really, really ahead of their time. Xenosaga is a story that follows, like, goes over the course of the millennia. But it starts off kind of essentially with this idea of these archaeologists who discover this technology on a near future Earth that kind of changes the shape of humanity and what we become in the future. And it's got really, really interesting ideas that they posit here. Like they go and explore the idea of like humanist philosophy, and they start discussing different Freudian and Jungian aspects of like the persona and the id, and they talk about like they implement a lot of like Gnostic religious ideas, like the progenitor of like proto-Judaic Christianity religions, and how that manifested and how that shaped the course of human history. And kind of they extrapolate that and how it's actually shaping, human civilization in the far future. They have the whole conversation of what a lot of sci-fi stories have, like what does it mean to be human, and why is that important to humans in the far future. And they have really, really interesting conversations about like all of the characters. Like the story kind of follows this young girl named Shion, which is really cool because back then like there weren't a lot of games that had female protagonists. So for this to be in a JRPG, this was really cool. It was kind of, cutting edge for its time. And it's one of those games that you have to also acknowledge that is very much a product of its time. When I played it, I got like flashbanged by a lot of like sexism and a lot of other stuff that's like not something that you would typically experience in modern day writing teams. Like there are no-nos that took place at that time when they were writing this that would not fly today. But nevertheless, even with all that aside, if you're kind of looking at it, purely for when it was written and how it was written by the folks at that point in time, like they have some really, really powerful things to say that didn't quite make the cut in Final Fantasy. But Xenosaga is this cool kind of like spin-off derivative JRPG that is really, really interesting in terms of like the thematic elements and the ideas and the philosophies they're able to bake into the story. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to go in there. Also, they have really cool fucking mechs in this game.
Yeah.
And there's also like mini games where you can get literally like a Gundam Wing styled mech and fight in it. So come on. What more do you want? This is something that you could emulate if you really wanted to. I actually went out and I bought myself a hard copy and a PS2 Slim and played it on the PS2 Slim so I could review it. It was a really fun time. Strongly recommend it if anybody is interested in going back and trying out the classics.
Man, mech games in PS2, right? I mean,
dude,
we had that.
killed it.
We had Zone.
Oh yeah,
we had.
Oh god,
Armored Core. Like, come on.
Or Rad. I don't know if you guys remember that game.
Yeah, I remember that game.
Yeah.
I am one of those. I'm one of those classic giant robot anime fanboys. So yeah, like all those games back in the day. Oh my god, it was just that was my treasure chest. And yeah, Xenoblade Xenoblade Chronicles. I never played Xenoblade Chronicles. Actually, I own it. But Xenosaga episode, I had Xenosaga episode 1 and 2 on and I never finished them.
They're tough. They're tough to get through.
That was one thing, but I think I was waxing nostalgic too much on Xenogears that it kind of like ruined my perception of the games itself. Not saying the games are bad. Like I actually enjoyed the games, just never had just never had the fortitude to finish them all the way through. Neither one.
Xenosaga is technically a spiritual successor to
Exactly.
Xenogears. There's a lot of like elements that are one for one in terms of a lot of the Christian references and like Jungian philosophies that they baked into it is carried over. Soria Saga is like the lead writer for those games, by the way. Really incredible writer.
Yeah. Nice. Yep. So yeah, that was goody.
Oh, these games are great. Yeah. Good pick. Nice pick.
Yeah. Good pick. Yeah.
Very good
Appreciate
pick.
It. Appreciate it.
I feel inadequate now.
I was gonna say, like, I don't think I could live up to that high.
No, you're about to talk about a fucking game, Stephanie. You know what I mean? Like,
You picked the classic.
I did. Hold on. Did I change it since the last time I wrote something in there?
I don't know. I don't remember what you. I don't remember what you had. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I see. That's what I see.
I was like, oh, it's not going to compare. Well, I guess now the cat's out of the bag. So I was going to say Gex. I mean, there's a couple iterations of Gex. I mean, for me, I was thinking about Enter the Gecko because I have a little bit more experience with that one. But I don't know. I figured it's a good tie-in too. And I'm sorry. I feel like I've been saying the word limited run a little too much that you think I'd be sponsored by them, which I am not. But they have their Gex trilogy pre-orders open right now, and
Jared Petty needs to hire you already. You know what I mean? Like they need to get it together.
But with all that being said, ever since they first announced, which was a while ago too, that they were going to revamp the Gex trilogy, I was like, bring me back to the days of the mascot platformers of yesteryear on the N64 and the PS1. And there's just something about playing as a gecko and just hearing all these crazy, ridiculous pop culture references and just things being bizarre, not making sense, bright and colorful. I don't know. There's just something about those mascot platformers. I just think Gex was kind of. I'm not going to say the top tier because you've got Mario. Like those were the platform Mario 64, those platformers. But if you're talking about, I don't know. I'm going to be quiet, but can anyone else share the joy that I have for Gex at all? And if any of the titles, anything in particular?
I don't know anything about those games other than it's like a mascot platformer experience similar to like a Spyro of the era.
Yeah.
But all I do know is that Gex sounds like a cool dude. And I mean, if he's like a secret agent, like a 007 Gecko, I mean, come on.
Yeah,
like
that's the only.
Pretty much.
It sells itself.
That's the only thing I know about Gex is like there was that ad where he's dressed up like James Bond.
Yes, that's what I know too. Yeah, we're the same wavelength. Yeah.
It was. It's sad because I just like hailed it as a classic, even though I never actually. Well, I can't say I've never actually played it. I think I played it on one of the. You remember back when PlayStation Magazine used to have the demo discs? I believe I played the demo of it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, but I just never actually bit the bullet and actually got the game itself. But like Gex spanned I want to say at least 3 or 4 games at least, so like that. So yeah, it was a classic in its own regard. Yeah, like games like Spyro and stuff like that, definitely took a life of their own and stuff like that, kind of edged it out. But at the same time, I don't think there would be a Spyro the Dragon or I would say a Crash Bandicoot, but Crash is older than Gex. But Gex actually did something that Crash Bandicoot was trying to do, and Crash wasn't able to do until the PS3 era.
Where would we, in our personal rankings, put Gex versus Crash versus Banjo? Do we have any strong feelings about that?
Banjo's number one.
I was about to say, I feel like Banjo's number one.
Yeah, Banjo is so cool.
Yeah.
Banjo, and this is now a little more personal opinion, Gex, and then Crash. For me, I know there's some big fans of Crash, and I wouldn't necessarily argue with them if that was their number 2. But for me, I felt more akin to the wacky gecko.
Nice. I like that. I'm watching gameplay footage of Enter the Gecko right now, and this shit is really cool. It's so colorful and vibrant and like neon everywhere. I love it.
I'm gonna make.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make mine pretty brief because I feel like this could definitely be a book club topic on its own. I'm shouting out Mass Effect 3. Now a lot of people have heard me say this. Like I played the Mass Effect trilogy smack like game after game after game versus like the traditional route where like you had to wait for the releases and stuff like that. Because I played the trilogy when it came out on PS3 and stuff like that. By the time I got to Mass Effect 3, that was like the culminating experience of like this entire this entire franchise for me at that point, because like just the way Mass Effect 3 started, especially like if you finished the freaking Arrival DLC for Mass Effect 2, like you were ready to play Mass Effect 3. So when Mass Effect 3 you turn it on and all that stuff, and like you see Shepard back at at Alliance headquarters and all that stuff, and all of a sudden the Reapers are on Earth and all that stuff, it's like, man, like this is the ride that we've been waiting for, like this is what it's all been coming to. And shout out to BioWare. Like they did a good thing with the Mass Effect trilogy and Mass Effect 3. I know there's a lot of people out there that complain about like some of the rudimentary changes, like universal ammo and all this stuff, but in my opinion, we're in the future. Like, why doesn't everything have universal ammo? Why do we need specialized ammo for weapons that are basically doing energy projectiles anyway? Makes no sense, stuff like that. But that's just one thing that people complain about. But in my opinion, hey, if this takes the grind out of the game for me, I don't care.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Good.
Well, sorry. I mean, I know you probably had some more thoughts to say on Mass Effect 3. I would say that the only real honest criticism, and I think relatively valid criticism that I've heard about the game, is the fact that like the endings are just very unrealized compared to kind of the depth, the intricacy, and kind of the maturity of the writing that we got in the first and second chapters of Mass Effect. And I think that, they did the best they could. Also, when you set up kind of an enemy like the Reaper, where do you go with a third game other than the way that they actually went? I mean, it's a good question in and of itself. Like, how would you do it differently? I think them having 3 separate endings, spoiler alerts for Mass Effect 3, is a little bit of a cop-out. I would have preferred if it was kind of a definitive ending that the writers chose to drive towards, also kind of having this like B plot with the assassin that was kind of hunting you down at the time. It was like there was cool stuff to explore there that I felt like that they were rushed because they wanted to do this whole War of the Reapers thing. But I think 3 is like obviously one of the most visually impressive of the bunch. And also shout out to what's her name? The lead voice actress for FemShep.
Jennifer Hale.
Gosh, yeah, Jennifer Hale. Like, shout out to Jennifer Hale for being like one of the most iconic female leads in the Xbox 360 era. Because just what a sick game, honestly.
Yeah, I keep telling myself, I'm in my next playthrough of the Mass Effect trilogy, I will probably finally play with FemShep. Like, I don't know, like the guy on the cover was Shepard for me, so that's who I played with. I played the default character. Yeah, I know I'm boring, but yeah, but every time I see like Jennifer Hale like doing her thing, like recapping like some of her best voice acting gigs and all that stuff, like all the female Shepard stuff is just like, oh my god, like why do her lines go so hard?
Yeah, she's a great actress.
She was the first, I think, voice actress that I recognized by name.
Yeah.
Right. And that's no small feat, especially in that era, right? I mean, I think it was Nolan North and her right at the time.
Yeah.
They were the GOATs. Well, they are the GOATs. What am I saying? Nolan North does more Hollywood stuff now.
Yeah.
Than gaming stuff, Yeah, but yeah, like Mass Effect 3, like everything, like, oh god, I'm gonna end it with this, like, just play all the expansion DLC, Omega, the Citadel, like just play all that stuff. Like it just makes the whole package so complete and stuff like that. From Ashes, all that stuff, just play it. Just play it.
Yep.
There's no excuse. Like you buy the Legendary Edition, you get all of it.
Yeah.
All of it with the exception of that one DLC that
whatever
basically lost all the assets.
Yeah, that Space Station one from 1. It was kind of just like a add-on. Whatever.
It was like a fetch quest.
Yeah.
That's all Mass Effect 1 missions were, like fetch quests.
Yeah. I don't know. Still fun.
All right, Corey, your turn.
Yeah. My respect the classics is God of War 2, not Ragnarok, but 2 on the PS2. What an amazing game. It has one of the most iconic opens of all time. When you're fighting the Colossus in Athens, like, so it's just I've stood in line at GameStop at a midnight release for that, and obviously the PS3 was already out, and a lot of people were like, "Why didn't they make this for PS3?" And like, I don't know, it's still one of the most visually impressive games on PS2. The combat is so fluid because they added the speed combat as opposed to the power combat. Also, like they added a bunch of interesting weapons, and a lot of the boss fights were super well thought out and much more realized than the first game. This is Cory Barlog's first God of War game as director. It was just, I don't really have a lot to say about it. It's definitely one of my favorite games of all time. And I think a lot of people, with the way God of War has gone now, kind of forget what God of War was back then and how revolutionary God of War was, especially the first game with quick time events. And you want to blame a game for quick time events, you can
blame Resident Evil 4.
Fair. God of War took it to the next level, though, man.
You're
like
right.
That was like,
Right.
you know, smash and circle to rip the Cyclops eye out, and you know,
that was what made it fun.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I did want to ask you really quick though. What's your hype levels for the rumored God of War 1 through 3 remastered edition from Sony Santa Monica?
I mean, I'm much more excited for those than I was for Ragnarok.
Get out.
I don't like the new ones.
I know you don't.
They're slow.
I will always give you grief. I will always give you grief.
Oh my gosh, and Atreus is the fucking worst character of all time. I hate that.
You better
don't encourage him.
You better buckle up. That's gonna be you and your son. You better buckle up.
I mean, my son can be annoying sometimes, so
I get away from it from real life. I don't want to see that in my video game. That's what he's saying. Yeah, I got it, Corey.
I don't know. They're fine. They're not. I don't know. We've talked enough about God of War on the show that people are already going to hate me anyway. So, but yeah, if they're going to remake that original trilogy, like, bring it on. Hope it's a remaster and not forcing this new style into the old stories, because then I would be sad.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I would kind of like that idea, but
you're ruining it, LeRon. You're ruining the dream.
I'm just one gamer out there. So what do I know?
Put the entire saga on there. Put Ascension on there. Put
Chains of
Olympus and Ghost of Sparta on there. Bring it all.
Oh, you're asking too much. You're asking too much.
Sick. They're never gonna do it.
They're not. They're gonna sell them piece by piece, $40, $50 a piece. People will buy it.
Or they'll lock them behind the PlayStation Classic Collection.
Ooh.
Yeah, you don't have to stream them because there's gonna be the PS3 versions.
Yeah.
Stop it. I think Sony's kind of learning their lesson about that, but who knows?
Are they? I mean, I know they are behind the scenes. It's just the way that they have to package the PS3 games in a native state. Like, each game has to be packed with an emulator because they use the cell processor differently.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's probably a pain in the ass.
All right. Well, we're what?
Nothing.
Go ahead.
Nope. I'm done. No, this would cause a whole nother conversation. I know we're trying to move on.
My bad. I'm not trying to rush anything. I was just getting ready to say we're getting ready to run into our last segment.
We're already past our free clips thing, LeRon.
I know we are. I know. But we're having such a good time with Nick tonight. We are. Hey, we don't stay up late for just anybody.
I mean,
right.
I mean, look, I'd stay up all night podcasting. I just know
that's because you're a glutton. That's because you're a glutton for punishment. I have someone to beat first thing in the morning.
Look, I love podcasting except for the things you have to do afterwards.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
That's the real trick.
That's exactly it.
Mhm.
All right, so we're about to wind this episode down, but we cannot leave you guys hanging without saying what we've been playing this past week. So yep, it's time. What have we been playing this week? I'm throwing it back to you, Nick.
Cool. This will be really quick. I played Expedition 33. I got the first ending. I'm not going to spoil anything about anything that I've played, but I've gotten through an ending of that game. And it's incredible. It made me cry. It's emotional. It's evocative. It's fun. And I haven't had this much fun playing a video game in a long time. And for those who don't know me, I mean, that means a lot. But for those who do, I think that means even more. So there's that. I also have been playing Blueprints. If anybody, and now I know we talked a lot of smack about roguelikes at the beginning of this episode about genres we don't particularly care for, but I think Blueprints does the roguelike model appropriately. I think it's a really good puzzle solver, and I think that it also does the thing where it allows the player incremental improvement over time that's impactful enough on the gameplay. It's one of the critiques that I had of Hades is that Hades is cool, and yeah, every run does count to a degree, but the marginality of the improvement that you see overall in Hades. I mean, of course, Hades, you could technically do like a run in your, beat it in your first run, and it's kind of like understanding and learning the bosses is the skill sets that you acquire over time, as well as the RNG with the powers. But with Blueprints, it's a little bit more interesting because there's a lot more strategy. You have to be a little bit more tactical, and it kind of rewards you as the player for paying attention. It's one of these games where they explicitly tell you as you're playing it, hey, get a piece of paper out or get a notepad out and write some stuff down, because you're going to need to remember numbers and dates and pictures and things that are on the walls of this game. And it really does kind of ask a lot of you in that. But I think that like going around, paying attention, picking up notes, taking screenshots if you're playing on your computer also will help you diegetically get through something like that. And it's a great game. It's a really strong contender for this year. I really hope that it gets recognition as a indie title. And I strongly recommend anybody who does enjoy roguelikes or who can stomach them to a certain degree, check it out.
See, I've been wanting to play that so badly, but I'm just not a smart puzzle solver. Like I bought Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, and I started it, and I was writing stuff. I'm not that smart.
Yeah.
I'm not that smart.
Well, here's what I'll say, Steph, is that the difference with Blueprints and something like Lorelei is that I think Lorelei is way closer to like a Return of the Obra Dinn, where it's like you have to actively deduce things in order to progress without looking stuff up. The beautiful thing about Blueprints is that they kind of reward you of like paying attention, but it's like, okay, read the papers that are in the room. And it's not like it doesn't like burden you with like a ton of collectibles or a ton of things that are there. It just kind of rewards you for understanding, oh, like I need to save my gems for later on in my runs, or oh, like I unlocked this certain part, so I have to remember to use this room at a very specific time as opposed to burning it a little bit too quickly. So it's more of like a kind of integrative, like real time, oh, this is how I can adjust my strategy run after run, instead of like thinking like, oh, I have to remember this one line in this like 18 sentence poem that was published in 1822 type of thing. So yeah, it rewards you to an acceptable degree. So I still encourage you.
I appreciate that, because Return of the Obra Dinn was another game that I recently played to kill the backlog, and I loved it, but I am also too stupid to figure it out 100% on my own.
And here's my thing too. I am not a snob and I am not a gatekeeper. If you got to look something up, I tell people to look stuff up all the time.
Yeah.
I use gay guides and stuff online, IGN, Polygon, whatever, for like a lot of my games. Like over the half of the games that I review, I look up guides for, especially if I'm going for trophies. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Whose turn is it?
Mine,
Okay.
I'll just go real quick because mine's super quick. I've also been playing Expedition 33. I'm at so not to spoil anything, but I'm at the end of Act 2, and I'm already doing a thing that you would kind of anticipate would be at the end of the game. So I'm really intrigued to see where it goes from here, because that's all I'm going to say. But really intrigued to see where this story goes from here, because I literally thought that this was the thing that you do at the end of the game, and it's clearly not.
Yeah,
So, Nick, you know what I'm talking about, I think.
I do.
Yeah.
The end of Act 2, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, so good.
By the way,
the music is just insane too.
yeah. By the way, the two boss fights before this, really interesting and unique, and
Yes.
kind of challenging, actually.
Yeah, really challenging.
Oh.
I recommend if you want some more of that, Corey, go to the Endless Tower in Act 3. Have you min-maxed some of your builds?
I'm trying to.
Okay.
You know, part of me wants to finish the game first and then do New Game Plus and then do all that stuff.
Sure. That's fair.
But also, I can't help but just keep playing it. So
yeah,
we'll see.
There you go.
But that's it. I don't have anything new to say from last week on that, and what we've all already said on this show multiple times already.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I do have to say before. Sorry, I do have one thing new to say. I think Lune is becoming one of my favorite video game characters.
My boy.
Yeah. Also, moving around the world with her is much better than anybody else.
Yeah. She just glides.
I know.
Yeah.
Pro tip: use Lune to travel the world. All right, I'm done now.
All right, good stuff. This one be also really quick for me, because for a minute there I thought I did not play any games last week, but then I realized I did play a game. I played a game for the first time over the weekend, and that game was Balatro. I finally got in on this hype train, and oh my god, like this game. Okay, this game is super addictive.
Talk about roguelites.
Yeah. It is super addictive. Like, I found myself wanting to play more and more of the game. Like, I wasted 3 hours
on mobile, or what are you?
I was playing on the ROG Ally X.
Okay, great.
So that was also a detriment, right? Because like it's in my hand, like I got the Tekken stream going on, like watching the big tournament and all this stuff, and I'm sitting here playing this, and 3 hours later, I was like, oh my god, I have to go to the store to buy stuff for dinner tonight. But it was like, how do I stop? How do I stop this game? Jeez,
who needs to eat?
It's tough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, when it's my turn to cook, like, you know, like I can't be like, damn, like play video games all night.
Not with that attitude.
So people will be upset at me. Yeah. No, like, oh my god, like, you know, like I bought Balatro, I want to say maybe a couple of weeks after, like, you know, like the Game Awards and stuff like that, but just never actually sat down and played it and stuff like that. And so I was like, you know what? I've been looking at this game for a while. Let me check it out real quick. Yeah. This is definitely one of my on the go games now. Like, so whenever I take the ROG Ally out the house with me, I'm probably going to be playing this damn game. If not Expedition 33, because I do need to play catch up on that one. Which, by the way, Expedition 33 plays pretty good in the ROG Ally and the ROG Ally X. You know, like I'm not having really any real problems with it. The only real problem I have with it is I'm not playing it enough.
It's true. There's not enough time.
And there it is. That's it for me. So I guess it's about that time.
What about Stephanie?
Yeah.
Stephanie?
I could have sworn you.
Wow.
I could have sworn you. Oh, you asked a question and had a conversation around the question. My bad, Stephanie. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Because you all need to know what I already probably said an hour and a half ago, that I'm playing Chicory Colorful Tale. The end.
Oh, you are? Tell us about it.
Is it good?
It's great. It really is. It's therapeutic, honestly, and what seems delightful and adorable and cute with its style, its graphics, and its music. You know, I talk to certain characters, and I'm like, oh, this gets like adult and deep fast. Because at first I'm like, oh, I'll let my son play it. But there are parts where you talk to a character and like, oh, a friend of mine just died. Can you plant some flowers in their memory? And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, yeah. Your son does not need to be playing that because we know how sensitive he is.
So, but I mean that just generally is a big compliment. to the game. I'm having a great time. I feel like it's well paced, especially since I have that mentality where I'm like, I need to finish up these games so I can get to the next one to talk about in the podcast. I don't feel like I need to be rushing through it. I like it a lot, actually.
Wonderful.
Nice. I always thought that game was intriguing, like the colors and the just kind of the concept was neat.
Hmm. Great if I had mouse controls, because my fat thumb trying to color everything in, it's not equal, and then my OCD kicks in.
I was gonna ask that. I was like, how hard is it to color things in with a joystick versus like, I mean, I just don't understand how people even do it. I really don't, unless they're playing on PC.
No, it's frustrating, so I use my finger for the touchscreen, and it's not
Okay, got
much
it.
better, but it's a little better.
On the Switch, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It'll be even better on Switch 2.
Mm-hmm.
All right, is it safe now?
No.
Yes.
I'm so sorry, Stephanie. I swear,
You
like
need to get a safe word.
it's not some undercover misogyny. I don't know why you always
You're
seem to be the
silencing
one.
our female co-host, LeRon. Come on.
I don't know why you always happen to be the one I always skip over on these segments.
Yep.
That's great.
I'm so sorry. I love you.
That means Steph has to go first in every single conversation for like the next
Yeah,
five
I think
episodes.
that's going to be the thing from going forward. That's the standing order now. As a matter of fact, Steph can just host the show now. That way,
Nope.
that way, you'll never be forgotten.
I'm good. Pass.
You can be CEO as well.
No,
Funny.
I'm good. Thank you.
Promoted.
All right. Well, I want to go ahead and thank everyone for watching and or listening to this episode of the Boss Rush Podcast. This has been episode 277. Yes, 277. Yeah.
Yep, still 277.
Yeah, brain cramp. My bad. If you joined us live, please go ahead and follow and subscribe to the channel that you're watching us on if you haven't done so already. Also, if you're watching us on YouTube later on, when the actual edited version of this show comes out, please like the video, leave your comments with your thoughts on today's topics, and leave one of your own. Hey, it might become a topic in a future show. If you're listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, consider leaving us a 5-star rating and a review. Remember, you can always support Boss Rush on Patreon at patreon.com/Boss Rush Network at the tier that's right for you. Trust me, like, you get a whole bunch of stuff just for paying $1. $1 whole, just like the Price is Right. The dollar trumps everything. You can even follow for free or gain access to our base shows all on one feed. Nick, it's been a pleasure. Great to finally meet you.
It was great to meet you too, LeRon.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and I'm happy to be on here. This was a fun time.
One more time, shout out where people can find you.
Absolutely. So if anybody wants to check out my podcast, my co-host Will and I host a show called the Friday Night Gamecast, and you can find us on all podcasting platforms, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcast, or Good Pods. If you want to reach out to us, we really love interacting with our community and everyone out there. So I'm mainly active on Blue Sky, and that's at FNGC Pod. We have a Twitter account. I don't like using it. And if you want to talk to us on Instagram, we do post pictures on Instagram that sometimes don't make it over to other feeds because I'm lazy, and Will runs the Instagram account. So if you want to find us there, we're just Friday Night Gamecast on Instagram.
Awesome. Stephanie, thank you. I love you. I do not forsake you. Corey, I also love you, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what day it is.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're not going to get you up text for me tonight because I'm going straight to bed after this. I have something to do in the first thing in the morning. And
You say that now, but I'll my phone buzz at 3 o'clock.
Incredibly tired.
All right, I want to thank you guys out there. Please one more time, just like, comment, subscribe to the Boss Rush Network wherever you find us at. Thank everyone again for watching and or listening. We will see you next time with an all new episode of the Boss Rush Podcast. When we come back next week, it'll be my birthday, and we'll also be returning to Added Boys and Get Together. So stay tuned. We love you. Good night.
Bye. If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, Retrostoy, and Christian S. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.